Everyone, in this video, I want to talk about finding the discriminant and types of solutions of quadratic functions. Here are the two problems that we'll do, and to make sure we don't take ourselves too seriously, let's think about the fun question. What is the best type of bagel? So on the math section, under Algebra 1, you see quadratics. Quadratics are typically taught towards the end of the year and show up again in Algebra 2. This concept assumes that you have learned complex numbers or imaginary numbers. So this would be the Algebra 2 version of this concept. Some people learn it in Algebra 1 without this I, or imaginary number, lesson taught. So let's start with what is a discriminant. So in the quadratic formula, we have x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you have a hard time remembering that, I suggest finding a fun video song to help you remember it. I think of Pop Goes the Weasel every time I write it out, and that helps me get all the little pieces correct. Okay, so what is the discriminant? The discriminant, I'm going to get my highlighter. That is this part underneath the square root in this formula. And that part of the formula tells you a lot about what types of solutions you will end up getting to a quadratic equation. So let's take the first one. We know we need an a, b, and c, right? So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 5n squared plus 0n minus 3 equals 0. That way we have an a, b, and c. So a would be negative 5, b 0, and c negative 3. Notice that there is no n term, so you can assume that there's a 0 that goes in front of it. So if I was going to figure out what the discriminant was, I'm just going to plug in. Notice I'm not taking the square root sign. It's just the part underneath the root. So you would do b squared. That would be, in this case, 0 squared minus 4ac. And then I will go from there, 0. And then this whole thing is going to be a negative because it's 3 negatives multiplied. You could think of it like that. That part can be easily missed, so we have to be careful when we're simplifying. So 4 times 5 is 20, times 3 is 60. We are getting negative 60 as our discriminant, okay? So I will write that out. That is the discriminant. Okay, now what do we do with that information? How can we tell how many and what type of solutions there will be? So off to the side, I'm going to write out a little diagram. If the discriminant is positive, that will give us 2 real solutions. And our case on a graph would be like, okay, so what's a solution? A solution is the same thing as an x-intercept or a 0. So if I drew it out, it would be like, a U shape parabola. And there would be 2 solutions, meaning x-intercepts, on the axis. So it would cut through the x-axis in 2 different places. If the discriminant is negative, then you're going to have 2 imaginary solutions. Remember, solutions mean, intercepts and zeros. So on a graph, it sort of looks like our parabola is floating, and it doesn't actually touch the x-axis. There's another case, and that's when you have our answer being 0 for the discriminant. So that would give you, think about that. So it's like when you get a 0 underneath the root, that root sign or whatever is plus or minus goes away when you're, doing the quadratic formula to find the solutions for a quadratic equation. So if it's 0, that just means there's only one real solution, because you only get one intercept, whether it's going upwards or downwards. It's just hitting it in one spot. So these little, points are the solutions. So in our first one, the discriminant was -60. So that means we will then have 2 imaginary solutions. Okay. And now let's see what's up for number 2. This one, I selected it so that you had to get a 0 on one side first. So we've got -6x² minus 9x minus 3 equals 0. So we know our A is -6, B is -9, C is -3. All right, so then B squared minus 4AC is going to equal, and this is where I have to be really careful with negatives. So I'm going to put -9, my B, in parentheses, because otherwise I will get this wrong. A, C. So I'm going to get 81. That's a positive 81. This is where people typically, if they get it wrong, they'll get a -81 because they don't have the 9 in parentheses. Then we are going to do, it's going to be 24 times 3, which is 72, and it's 3 negatives once again. So I'm going to be subtracting. So my discriminant is 9. Discriminant, and that leaves us with a positive, so it'll be 2 real solutions. So as far as the final answer, it would be part 1, part 2, part 1, part 2. Now let's give you some problems to try. These are very similar, and why don't you pause the video so that you can try them, and I will reveal the answers in a minute. Okay, here they are. So first one would give you 144. Because that's positive, it's 2 real solutions. And then the second one being 0 would give you only one real solution. Nothing's negative, so we don't have anything imaginary with those 2. Lastly, I'd like to leave you with a quote, some food for thought. You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. I think that's really, really good wisdom. So I hope you enjoyed this video, got something out of it. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with new videos. And if you'd like to leave a comment about your favorite bagel, please do. Have a good day.